Hey, I got something heavy to say. Pretty deep. Kind of like a confession. Coming from me, you might want to, I don't know, child restrict this, whatever. I don't know how to do it. I would definitely say PG, 13, maybe. Can't predict that. Anyway, so here it goes. I've talked a lot about twin flames, counterparts for share it, and that being energetically what I am, I myself have 4 parts, and my counterpart has 4 parts, which is often why the 8 eyes come up associated with angels at certain places in like Revelations and stuff. They say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. So when you are not in the physical, that's the eyes. So I have 4, and my counterpart has 4. And humans have 2. You have a masculine and feminine side. And that's the challenge, that's the hookup, that's the alignment, that's, kind of like full capacity when those 2 sides are in like equal and like highest perfect balance, functioning, the best, full capacity. Like, you actually have a system like a car. It's called the chakra system, and your fuel is called chi. But anyway, getting to this confession, I'm procrastinating because it ain't easy. Okay. So, I met my match. I'm not going to get into the freaking epic, crazy fucking saga of how that all came together. Yeah. Very, 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 very different, very strange collision. Anyway, the last time I saw him, spoke to him, it was really weird because that day we connected and I felt it, and something happened that was not just the deepest, unconditional, sincere moment in our relationship over, say, I don't know, 8, 9 months. But 2 things happened that was very significant in a positive way. 2. One for him and one for me. And I'm going to tell you about that because before I confess something, I want you to be able to connect and empathize, maybe reflect. I hope not. You'll see why. So, it's hard for me to say, but I said it to somebody and it was like a calibration to get it out. So he doesn't even know this, okay? But that day, that special day, and it was that evening, still the numeral, I don't even remember, I gotta look, seriously. That day, what happened to me that was significant, sit with this. It was the first time someone caringly, genuinely held my hand in my entire life. Since I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4, by my father, never by my mother, but in a relationship. I don't know those of you who can relate, and definitely as a woman, hand in hand. How many of you do not hold your partner's hand in public when you walk around and stuff? It affected me. Like, it's like out of the blue. I didn't see it coming. He grabbed my hand. But part of what triggered him to do that, something happened that was significant. Equal and opposite kind of thing. Same time almost. Because, so we're walking, having, we've been dating, we lived together, but just like almost having an us, almost like date day, and there was this major intersection. We were walking to a store, and I don't know what came over me, but something in me said or thought to walk. I mean, in the crosswalk area, like where you walk in a major intersection when the sign says walk. Well, apparently the sign didn't say walk, and he saw this car coming. Maybe he saved my life, but what happened was that it's like he reacted. And I, honest to God, have a friend who I recently lost, who my twin knows. But there was even a bridge, a connection, friends. Yeah, but this guy, he had a girlfriend, and they were crossing the street, and I guess he was behind her, and she got hit by a car and died in front of him, and that messed him up. I recently lost him, 2024, and matter of fact, this gift he had given me that I treasured, just broke yesterday, 11/11. Yesterday, today's 12. But what happened was, after he grabbed me and split second, I mean, I could feel the wind of the car past me. As in, I was zoned. But then what happened was, it's like if he wanted to raise a fist at me. He started insulting me and attacking me. Bizarre. 1 minute he's saving my life, and the next minute he's wanting to kill me. This is in public. This is so reactive, so not him. Way. This is shy, more introverted, in public person. But then I realized, I don't know, I saw right away that he was terrified. Even if in that split millisecond he had envisioned potentially, or calculated potentially the what if I had died. And, he was mutually friends with our friend that had voiced, some details about his experience. But it showed both of us physically the level and depth of his feelings, his connection energetically to me. When you react, or when, defense mechanisms or whatever kick in, that split second, there's not even, it's just completely reactive, fight or flight kind of thing. They say, at the worst times, the crises, you'll know who's true. Hard to tell until it's truly that extreme. So, there was like this inner child type of, pure light and lovey, like, when you're, kids going out, like on your, first or second or whatever date, frolicking, together through the town. So anyway, we get back home just around dinner time, had a late lunch out, and I was sick. Ate kind of the same thing, but I just, again, out of the blue, felt like nauseous and stuff, ascension sickness, whatever, I don't know. And instead of staying with me, comfort me or whatever, he's basically like, well, you're there resting. I'm gonna go do something else. It's just like having like a rockin' day, one of the best days, and yeah, I understand, illness, but like, okay, like, I don't know, sensitive. But when he was out, there was some synchronicities that put together my awareness that, and I don't know how I connected this, that he had been seeing a lot of other people. It's not that we ever solidified our relationship, but definitely talked about, loyalty. Even friends with benefits, you don't want to be, you want to know how dark of a hoe, So, there had been many major disappointments. And as I was in my light, masculine and feminine, he was in his dark. Very dark. Found him in the dark. God directed me. That's a whole other story in itself, again, like I mentioned. So, this battle of words began. And I was like in the bedroom, and he was in, my attached, like, say, den. Okay. So that's the close, proximity. Different rooms, but could see each other through this portal door that I call the Hobbit hole, but somebody mentioned it's more like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I just want to go off into so many different things to tell you, but I got to stay on subject. And I'm procrastinating for a reason. Get into the confession. Get into the good. So, understand that Satan's greatest weapon, tool to control, overpower, possess, whatever, his most powerful weapon is communication. Words, speech, media, visuals, body language, whatever, communication. And especially through speech, because it's where you put emotion with the words, The toning, the tone, the very, very powerful. It's putting the powers, the magic, the sequences of the universe, and then with sound, that's what communication is. It's sequences. The words are sequences. I'm trying to remember back in elementary school what they call that. Like a sentence is I don't know, it's like a word equation or something like that. Okay. So many words in a sentence, paragraph, da da da. The Hebrew study, oh my God, is it powerful, and I recommend it to, it's definitely got to be part of the New Earth, because it's almost like laws, okay? Like a book of laws, like the Talmud, but all having to do with, it's almost like criminal laws, with all different counts, say, different charges, but all under, like slander. All different kinds of slander. And you may not have ever thought about it, but slander, okay, propagandized, slander, propagandized, globally or communally, have caused people, rightly or wrongfully, to burn, witches, or who they thought had a stake, that caused, the Holocaust. The largest, painful, dark impacts on even specifically mankind. You know, that we're not natural. War, whatever, you know. It's like there's something spoken that, you know, gets under somebody's skin or is miscommunicated, and so it's called Shemiras Halashon. Very, 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 very powerful. I think people know out there about how, you know, these, you know, inspirational speakers or, you know, people who have this maverick, you know, this Midas touch, charisma, know how to talk, you know. People that, you know, with their words, whatever, they could, you know, sell you a rock. When hasn't happened often, when I am in my demon, when I am in my dark feminine, I have projected some, yeah, this is not, yeah, it's a confession. I mean, I get we all do that, but I mean, you know, it's a Satan level, not human. So we're both battling like that. He's my counterpart, you know. And we took it dark, both of us. So, like, he's in his dark masculine, I'm in my dark feminine. And that's when I also eventually learned that in a woman, her highest power, it's the top. It's actually the female negative, you know, the bitch. And when you're in a feminine form, you could achieve your highest, you know, 100% being in your dark energy, feminine. And a man in the physical form can achieve his highest because it's the counterpart, opposite, in his, basically, Christ, you know. And that's why it's like the classic Christ and Mary Magdalene, dark feminine, Christ, pair. And then that union, well, yeah, it just impacts time, it can create a major shift in consciousness then. You know, the perception of, you know, immaculate conception and resurrection and all that. Didn't have that prior to. Major shift spiritually. So we're both in our dark, going at it with words. And all of a sudden, I remember feeling my dark masculine come in as well, because I have the 4. And he was in his dark masculine when we were fighting, when I was in my dark feminine. But he has, psychological childhood, whatever issues. On his human side, he hasn't woken up yet at all, and so mommy shit, right? So he didn't at that time recognize or connect with or work with his dark feminine, because he's a guy. So when both those came in, I was so like being encouraged by Lucifer and Lilith to make a command. And I was told, and this could be a lie, it was, I don't know, Lucifer and Lilith, but they were talking to me like if I was their daughter. And they were saying that he had already done something or some things that were such an abomination, like so low, that there was some kind of like spiritual law breaking, like divine, almost like a warrant type of a thing. Maybe even like curse, like way, way, way big. Connects to the Jezebel demon that I recently learned came into mankind through Noah's lineage. I know that if a non-Jew goes to learn about Orthodox Judaism from an Orthodox rabbi or congregation, they are instructed differently than if they were a Jew, and they are taught and are shown what's called the Noahide laws. And this Jezebel demon, if I remember correctly, came through, I don't know if it was Noah's daughter, or Noah's daughter-in-law. There was a woman, on the ark who couldn't conceive, and there was an elder on the ark. I don't know if it was like Noah's grandfather. I'm pretty sure it was a grandfather and not a grandmother. Anyway, this grandfather touched the woman's belly, and this Jezebel spirit basically came in, so that she became pregnant with twin girls that were possessed. And it's interesting because you have the twins, but they were both female. Again, I had mentioned that the most powerful, even above Christ, as the light masculine. So the polar opposite of the light masculine is the dark feminine. And, you know, if all, you know, shit hit the fan and they were amped all the way up and, you know, equal top capacity, the female would basically, let's say, win, be the last woman standing. In part, and I think you guys will agree, if you really think about it, men are built more physically stronger, but women are more built for longer endurance. I know I was into horses. You have the quarter horses, you know, they race a quarter mile, and they're big and, you know, beefy, you know, been working out on, you know, look like on steroid guys, like, not, but like, yeah, they're big, you know, we had one. And then you have, like, you know, the Triple Crown, right? The thoroughbred racing. And they're lean, mean giants that go miles. And you've gotten mares. You've gotten mares that have won the Triple Crown. And their stock, you know, their bloodline becomes very, very, very valuable, as with horses. So that's on like a power type of a thing. And I had been just thinking, like, way recently, why do we not see, therefore, almost, ergo, dark feminine leaders? Like, if they're, you know, that being known, you know, like I'm remembering maybe Cleopatra, you know, Isis. I don't know, maybe even Eve. Adam was the, you know, divine light. But then that's reversed, because they say Eve came out of him. And light comes out of darkness, so Eve was the light, which means that Adam, Adam, the beginning, the one Adam, was a dark masculine. Makes sense. In the beginning. In the beginning. Dark masculine. Dark masculine would definitely want to create almost like his equal, that would, you know, I don't know, turn him on, compliment him. Like, you know, a dark masculine is completely egoic, you know. I remember talking to this guy who was schizophrenic, okay, but he was in this fantasy that, and maybe, you know, in another life or whatever, he was this, what, Hindu god or something, and had a harem of women and goddesses, but he was a greater god, and yeah. And I said to him one time, I said, listen, I said, what makes you think that if I'm a goddess, I can, you know, you're higher than me? Like, just because, you know, like, what's, you know, boy, that pissed him off. But, so, yeah. Dark masculine. So then it's like, you know how you get your genes from your parents? And let's say, you know, the dark masculine is, you know, well, you got Lucifer. And, then that would have created, but it would almost be a dark feminine, right? Because then light comes through darkness, but that's a whole nother trip. So, and then again, the divine is the 4, and this is part of the reason. It takes 2. So you had the dark, and then you had the light, you know, basically come together. But I'm not going to go there right now. Let's stick with, yeah, where I'm going with all this. So, I know I'm. You guys are thinking I'm off track, but I'm not. It's like I get so many downloads and stuff. So yeah. So we're at words. I end up connecting into my dark and light because of, and then the channel came through with Lucifer and Lilith, and they're telling me that once I do this command and recognize that it really is for his highest good, that again, sometimes you have to go through the heartbreak or the stretching or the test. Sometimes you have to go through that before you can, you know, win the gold. And it also is about balance. So I made this call. I sent out a command. As valor, I mean, in essence, I was basically calling judgment on myself, knowing that my dark counterpart at that time, dark, I mean, we would have been equal, but he went way in his dark. Was already, had done some things that the higher ups were like really stretching their mercy and temperance to the max degree because of me. Because my, you know, what is going to happen, the light that is going to come into the world through me, which is interesting, while I'm in my dark, which therefore would be the highest, you know, greatest power of you know, an energy, greatest half, strongest, bigger, you know. You got the firstborn, you got the run, you know, all that. But, and that I told them whatever they did to him. And at that point, I knew he would live no matter what, because I know what I experienced. I know what I experienced, and I know he wouldn't die again unless it was by his own hands. Which, there was such a, when I made the command, it was like if it had been fated, even for that divine timing. And I remember, it's like I almost like, I knew they were gonna like basically put him in hell. But okay, so what happened? What is hell? But because when I was there, I would not have wished it on my worst enemy. Never. Not my worst enemy. But how can I explain this? I was told, and it was a knowing. Well, I know the mission we have, and it's like, it's almost like trying to usurp power, total power, even over the light, by ditching, by this Jezebel spirit, in addition to him being in the dark, was like there with us, was like in and out of him or around him, connected to him. He is a twin. I mean, an actual identical, twin. And then flash, the Jezebel came into, our ancestry and world and all at that time, at the time of the flood. Like, it knew to save itself, and got into, but it seems to connect with the twins, and then, the Cain and Abel, and the good and the bad one, and all that. Identical twin. Very significant. So I said, I don't want to see what happens. I don't want to know what happens. I will have faith that, it will be done. It will be done. It was difficult because even though I didn't see or know, within, 48, 72 hours of my command, he disappeared, went MIA. No one in the town, checked jail, checked hospital, all that. And we're going on, maybe 3 months? But I hear and I see and I feel what's going on inside of me. And basically they're saying that had this not have happened, and he was stripped of his powers, so he doesn't even realize that they're powers because he's had them his whole life, so he thinks he's lucky, and coincidence and, all that shit. But then it got too extreme of what he saw I can do, too extreme of what he started doing with dark, and this anger something, I was already in like this kind of demon energy, but it was like, it was sharp, it was strong, and intelligent, just like, it was like, there was such fury and power, but contained. And then, I was smoking a cigarette, and something came over me that, and he was paralyzed also, by the way. He was, when this came over me, and these words, and it's not like I said some magic words, it was, I don't know, whatever truth, the sword of truth, knowing, the pains of his past and his Achilles heel, knowing him on a level of knowing myself, and what would do that, what word or thought or whatever. I mean, watching the cause and effect was pretty wild, and it's like if it wasn't enough, it's like him being paralyzed wasn't enough. And so I went out of the bedroom, and he had been sitting, let's say, on a sofa in the den, but it's like he was on the floor. I think even in a sleeping bag, but like not intentional, or I don't know, it was weird. Passed out. And I went, and he was on his side, and I took the cigarette, and I touched the back of his neck. But where I touched it, they say that, the 144, say those who are going to inherit, have a mark on the back of their neck, kind of where your skull meets. And I have a strawberry birthmark right there. Some people call it a stork bite, but mine's bigger than just a little stork bite. So it's just interesting, because it was like, it wasn't even thought out. Like, it was after the fact that I made the connection, because I could have, I don't know, his face, his arm, it was just, or why even that? And he was passed out. I mean, he didn't budge. He didn't know, what hit him. Which was also so bizarre with how demon and aggressive he was, to the extreme, which then, kicked my, Batmobile power or something in, and, yeah. it's something that, yeah, I, in many ways, want to remember. Because I have regrets. And I think to myself, I didn't have to go to my dark feminine. Because I knew my light feminine couldn't take it on when I was in my feminine, when he was in his masculine. Because he was in his dark masculine. I could have still gone to my light masculine, gone to my Christ. And, I don't know if I could have, because I would, yeah, you can't pull a Christ and a Mary Magdalene unless you're in those, polar opposite, also gender roles. And if I was in my masculine energy when he was in his masculine energy, it wouldn't work, which is why it happened the way it did, which is why it was fated. And it is part of, you can't, it's almost like, there was no way to reach the light. The darkness in him, and even the the demonic, the Jezebel that was attached in addition to what we unified are on the dark side demon. Because I know it's not Jezebel. I shouldn't say that, but I'm pretty sure, because I don't know. Maybe, like I said, Christ and Mary, the Christ. Hard to say, but anyway, that's yeah, way dark. But then so way dark. There is some light in there. In his masculine, so there's a Christ in there. It's like there's a Christ, like, in him, even though, I don't know, been in his dark. So they're forcing yeah, they're basically like forcing him almost like to see the light, to connect. He was getting so dark, but with the powers and the protection, it's like, he wasn't receiving the retribution, the justice, the cause and effect. My light and everything was so strong that, yeah, it protected. Enabled. And this is going way the fuck too long. But those are some, yeah, a lot of like really, really deep wounds that there's something about that balance, that counterpart thing, that it's needed. It's like, the last healing, the last like purge, and before you unified, reach a level definitely above the 3-day for sure. And so it's like That's why there's so many twin flames now and unions now. You know, the power of that also is going to anchor down the 4, you know, 5s and stuff like that. It's going to anchor it down, push stuff out. I'm just shaking my head because I'm just thinking of like how many people are so out of balance. And therefore, I guess, I mean, in some ways are so out of time. And so, you know, I don't know, God forbid, but, you know, in the infinite universe and possibilities, if he does not only, you know, do what needs to be done in the fires, you know, and a lot of, you know, what it took. I mean, I remember. I mean, but it took me years, and there's something about timing that if he doesn't connect, even if he's successful, but he doesn't connect at some particular time, it wouldn't be good. There's somebody else that would step in for basically my mission, because, you know, apparently, I don't know, it takes 2 or something like that. It's a partnership thing. Not necessarily even a twin, although the twin, you know, would potentially enable you to get to full capacity and balance, But if it don't happen, that doesn't mean the mission's going to stop. I mean, but I know that they would go to, you know, any extreme, basically, in their power. And then I'm like, well, what the fuck? But it's not like twist your arm. It's well, first off, I can't even imagine if you're not spiritual and you're not woke at all, and you do have trauma and all that, and have all kinds of negativity, like you've had like a really dark life, how the hell are you gonna fight Jezebel off you? You know, I mean, you're already in. You know, you're surrounded and all by those dark energies. So, you know, angels, our family, everyone is in on this. It's weird. It's like if that's the delay. It's like demons fighting demons. In a way, for survival, I guess. I mean, you know, they want to make sure, you know, somehow they can get on that boat. You know, what if Jezebel didn't make the ark? But anyway, and that is weird because I was in 3D. I gotta end this. I don't even know if I'm gonna post it. I'm rambling too much, but like, yeah, I probably will clip it, hopefully, because I know that I did tell you some shit. Again, I've had experiences that, I mean, it's not just had experience, it's like every fucking minute. It's just confirmation upon confirmation. Sometimes I'm like, come the fuck on. You got to be kidding me. Yeah. Seeing the unbelievable. I was just thinking, it's, you know, it's like, acknowledging that you're both. It's like they're both your family. The dark and the light is just like, it's almost like Satan fucking with me. It's like sibling rivalry. It's just like, yeah, it's just stupid almost. That's pretty much what it's about now. It's being forced to grow up. We all grow and evolve in different ways. But, you know, energy can't die, and, both sides have stake in our divine being. Coming into balance. It's so reflective of what's been going on with everything and everywhere. The side that, you know, was distorted, was in balance, was in the dark, is fighting evolution. Dark feminine. I could never. I mean, I could never go, dark in that way. I don't think so. God forbid I would ever, you know, but I have been tested. You know, I mean, you know, survival, life at stake, and been tempted. You know, when I did that with the cigarette thing, I wasn't tempted. Nobody said anything. I know I did it. marked, scarred my other half. So then I recently heard something about the actual root of me getting that dark, that vindictive or whatever, had to do with my own, I don't know if it was an insecurity or some kind of distortion or scar, trauma from childhood, where I felt that him leaving then that night when we came back or whatever, dinner time, and leaving to be with other people or whatever, was like suggesting that I saw myself as not good enough to be able to sustain, maintain, receive, love and affection, attention, that it was something about my anger at myself projecting that if I truly honored and loved and recognized, who I am and divine feminine. Divine feminine and divine masculine in my light half within my 4 windows. Eyes to my essence. It takes a lot to open all 4 windows. Perfect balance. And your counterpart, and with the 4 and shit. I mean, that 8. So much has tried to prevent it, delay it, wouldn't admit, denial, arrogance, all that. It's like I get to a point of recognizing who I am, integrating fully, and then it's like there's a whole nother book. There's like, wait a minute here, but there's another missing half. wonder twins activate. And if I know my powers and divinity, that's why I just don't, I mean, I don't know, I do get it, kind of. But anyway. Very difficult for the masculine part to, I don't know, I want to say almost like lose control, or, you know, because it would be like the masculine side, I don't know, their alpha, their domination, their masculinity, all that would be like, I mean, the checkmate, you know, the female won, king went down. Chess, queen to king checkmate. And, couldn't accept that. That wasn't part of, you know, that reality. It was challenging. It's like taking Jezebel on, but in my demon. I don't know if it would still be attached. But Christ defeated it with Mary. The light came through enough. Basically the combination of that, both halves in the light. Jezebel couldn't stay in that. And after that happened, Jezebel was pissed. And then came Judah. Third party. Interesting third showed up. Connected, I mean, very, very deeply. And when I was talking about this, you know, twin flame and the counterparts, he said, well, you know, there's always three. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, there's always three significant parties that are connected in that transformation, that union, that elevation. That experience. it's like there's something about, like, resistance. It was interesting too when I'm talking about the energies, because it was within that 3 that he was able to connect with his dark feminine. It was 3 that enabled me to connect with mine. So there's definitely something to do with third parties and karmic lessons, contracts, and, you know, the light, it seems to be, you know, the 2s, the 4, the 8. Which, as a positive number, also does suggest the connection to the divine light, the higher densities, not the lower. The 2s, the 4s, the 8s. You know, like the Lionsgate portal. So that means we got one coming in February. February's the 2nd month on the solar. And May is the 2nd month on the lunar calendar. Which, you think about May and spring and birth and May Day. There were festivals about connecting with your soulmate and stuff. A lot of feminine goddess type of rituals. May, spring solstice. I don't know that he's connected with his light feminine side. It's like both feminines have been suppressed, distorted, all that. It's interesting. Twins. Thinking back to the 2 females with Noah. Christ and Antichrist. Energy. Whatever energy, you know, dark light. In the beginning. He's the one. The starting point. 0. You know, ground 0. The starting point. 1, 0. And the reflection, top to bottom, is an 8. just came to mind is something existing on any dimension that is only dark or only light. And I'm hearing yes. And it's like if that's Satan. Whereas Lucifer and Lilith are the dark half of, let's say, an angel. Like I was telling you with the 4 or the 8. And so that dark part, or I guess like a Cain and Abel, whereas it's almost like the good twin of Satan would be like Christ. So there's the light, masculine and feminine, connected to Lucifer and Lilith. Would not be Christ, necessarily Christ, and the Antichrist, would be able to come in human form. Not so with Lilith and Lucifer, per se. I just keep getting that just like in the angelic realm, it's like if there's Lucifer and Lilith with like legions, and then so they're like the strongest in the arc of the dark. So if the arc is God, God's throne, God's, the God portal, the highest, whose power in the light would be Michael. And Michael, the reciprocal, the mirror of M is W. And that gets into what I know. The power of the Shin, Shema, shaman, spiritual, snake. Power of fucking the W, the double W. I mean, even one on top of another. I mean, W was so significant. You got one angle coming up, two coming down, 3, 1 and 2. I mean, W side by side, hieroglyphics represented its closest symbol to water. There's something with that S that was involved in parting the sea. It was a shear. Shira, the S, the Shira is a song, which is also an S. Very powerful song. Magic song. There's a book. I have it. It's called Parak Shira. And there's a prayer in the back. I say that if you recite this book, it's thin, but it's a lot of freaking pages to recite. I don't know, because it's like, you have to see it. But anyway, not impossible. Very, very possible. If you read this book, recited this book every, day or night, wherever you choose, but for 40 consecutive days. And you do this prayer. It's basically, they say that it's like you receive a miracle. I understand how it's done. The 40, why the 40? It's the 4. And it says that the prayer is to the angels. And the energy behind the miracle and the manifestation has to do with tapping the power, the blessings of all the divine light energy, which is connected to every living thing in this world, which therefore is assigned in essence an angel. It's interesting that the book the title is a song, Parak Shira. something song, Parak. Parak is like, it's a part it's like if it's a noun. She hears the song. I have to look more into Parak, but anyway, while I was falsely imprisoned, first time again, I had been turned on to the book prior to going in, so I had it. And it was considered, religious, like a Bible, so I was allowed to have a paperback version. I mean, I had no idea. I mean, within that book, it was basically like a spell book, but with angels. Not just angels. Every aspect of life force. And not even life force. Connects to every element, it's just pretty amazing. There's religious people that swear by it. Like if you need a miracle, there's nothing more certain that you can do to ensure your miracle or prayer to manifest. Than working with Berkshire. There's so many so much that I came across that has power in it. I was taught, the different ways of shielding, like creating like this almost like divine suit of armor. I know some of what I was shown and I was told that had this, particular magic or, hidden device, whatever in it, do this and this will happen. Some things I did not see. The cause and effect, I did not see or feel the impact, the importance as I had been told. But with other things, I definitely saw it and felt it. And it's not like doing a witchcraft spell. It's working with energy, with natural laws, the forces, the energies, big, big stuff, elements, but like, repetition, sequences, particular times of repetitions. I learned so much, but I can be impatient. It's like, I don't want to have to come in and wait 40 days, you know? I want to twitch my nose and have it appear right then and there. Instant. It can be. It can be near instant. Yeah, it can. There's something about being in your highest light. Where you can, it's like you magnetize love and abundance and all those things. Just by being happy, positive. Tapping emotional depth. And understanding. I was told it's called emotional maturity. But emotions are part of consciousness. Our soul doesn't die. Consciousness doesn't stop. Consciousness doesn't stop. I should be able to enter. And I've even worked to get an angel, right? Right. But a devil, I don't know, tries to get into the angel's head. So I guess the angel, well, get into the devil's heart. That's very difficult to do. The devil's heart is talk about light in the darkness. And Beauty and the Beast, King Kong. Only one has that key. So when the beast is in a masculine dark, is that divine feminine. Has the key. Because as I mentioned, that light, that purity, that joy is so strong. It's like the only thing that balances out, that calms and brings a peace and balance to that size beast.